family. Hello, my people. Good day to you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whatever time zone you're listening to this, I want you to know that I'm grateful for your attention. It's not taken for granted in any way. My name is Michael Ojola from Mindset Transformation Africa, and on today's episode of Daily Mind Shift, I want us to talk about something, especially around first impression. You know that most times we say first impression lasts long, but I want to talk about last impression. All right, let me anchor today's episode on this statement. Regardless of the first impression, the last impression can take first place and create a legacy that will never be forgotten. Regardless of the first impression, the last impression that you create can take first place and create a legacy that will never be forgotten. I want you to pause for a second and think about what I just said. Let that sink in. There's a lot of weight in that particular statement. It's about the reality that while first impressions are significant, they are not the final chapter of your story. Your last impression, the way you finish, has the power to redefine how you are remembered. So be very wary of that. Today we're going to talk a little bit about that because no matter how you've started, no matter what stumbles you've faced, you have the power to write a legacy that outshines everything that came before it. Let's start by talking about first impression, okay? We've heard the saying, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. And see, while there is truth in that statement, here is what people often forget. First impressions are just that. They are the first. They are not the whole story. They are just the first impression. Think about the times in your life when you've been quick to judge someone based on your initial encounter with them. Maybe they seemed cold, distant, or distracted. But later, as you got to know them, you realized that they were dealing with something heavy or had layers of depth you couldn't see right away. Now, flip the script. How many times have you felt misunderstood after a first meeting? Maybe you were nervous, having an off day, or did not even show the best version of yourself and all that. First impressions are important, yes, but they are not definitive. People may form opinions quickly, but opinions can change. And that is where the power of last impression comes in. See, the last impression you leave someone with is what lingers. It is what they will carry with them long after you've left the room, long after you've left the job, long after the relationship is over, or even long after you're dead. This is why last impression matters so much. Number one is that it is the final note of your melody. Imagine your life is music. That is the final note that you play. Think of your interactions with other people as a song. The first impression sets the tone or the mood, but the last impression is the note that echoes. If it is strong, if it is meaningful, if it is harmonious, it leaves people with something to hold on to. They remember you with fondness because they love the way you ended it all. And it's also a proof that you grew. It's also a proof of growth. A powerful last impression shows that you are not defined by where you started. It says, I may have stumbled, but I found my footing eventually. See, people respect a comeback story, and a strong finish is the ultimate comeback. And it also builds your legacy. Legacy is not about a flash of a moment. No, it is about the consistency of your character and the impact that you leave behind. So when you focus on how you finish your life, you create something that is timeless. You create something that people can refer to and say, whoa, that is how this guy ended it all. So let's talk a little bit about redemption, because this is where the magic happens. We've all made mistakes. We've all had moments we're not proud of. Maybe it was a bad decision, a careless word, or a season of life where we lost our way. See, whatever it was, there is the good news. And here is the good news. Your mistakes don't have to define you. Redemption is about owning your story, making amends where you can, and choosing to grow. It is about saying, see, I may not have gotten it right the first time, but I'm committed to getting it right now. Think about some of the greatest stories of redemption in history. People who fell hard, but they rose even higher. Their first impression did not eventually define them. Their last impression did. You have the same opportunity, and that is the lesson I want you to take away today. You have the same opportunity. Every day, every interaction, every decision is a chance to redefine yourself. See, I want you to think about the different areas of your life, your relationships, your work, your community, even your relationship with yourself. How are you showing up? What kind of impressions are you living? And most importantly, how are you finishing? If you are not happy with the answers to those questions, that is okay. Awareness is the first step to change. Maybe you've had a rough season in your marriage or a friendship. Maybe you have not been giving your best at work. Maybe you've been hard on yourself. You've been caught in the cycle of negativity. I get it. Whatever it is, remember this. It is not too late to change the story. It is not too late to rewrite the narrative. You can choose to show up differently starting today. You can decide to leave a last impression that overshadows any missteps along the way. There are things that I believe you can do, because you need to understand this. Concept is not enough. You have to live it. And the first thing I want you to do is end every interaction with intention. Be intentional on how you end every of your interaction. Whether it's a conversation, whether it's a meeting, whether it's a simple text exchange, ask yourself, what impression do I want to leave here? It doesn't have to be grand or elaborate. It could be as simple as offering a kind word, expressing gratitude, or showing genuine interest in someone else's life. Also, make amends where necessary. See, if there are areas in your life where you've left a negative impression, don't be afraid to address it. Apologize. Make things right. See, people respect humility and accountability. Redemption often starts with owning up to your own mistakes. Do you understand? Make amends where necessary. Then you focus on growth. The best way to leave a lasting impression is to show that you've grown. Show that you've become better. Let people see the progress in your character. Let people see the progress in your actions. Let them see the progress in your mindset. Growth speaks louder than words. Then finish strong. Whether it's a project, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a season in your life, commit to finishing well. Don't check out early. Don't coast to the end. Give it your all. Right up to the last moment, give it your all. See, legacy is not built in a day. All right, it is built over time. It is built in the way you show up consistently over time. It is built in the way you handle your challenges, in how you treat people, and in the values you live by. Here's the beauty of legacy. It is never too late to start building it intentionally. Even if your first impression was not great, even if you've made mistakes along the way, you can still create a legacy that reflects the best of who you are. Do you understand me? It's important that you live like that. I heard a story that I want to share with you. There was a man who, in his younger years, was known for his arrogance and recklessness. His first impression on most people wasn't great, but as he got older, he began to change. He became more compassionate, more thoughtful, more intentional about how he lived. By the time he passed, people remembered him not for his mistakes in the early years, but for the way he had loved, served, and inspired others in his later years. His last impression became his legacy. That story could be your story too. No matter what or where you've been, you can choose where you are going. No matter where you've been, you can definitely choose where you're going. See, family, this is what I want you to take away from today's episode. First impressions matter, but they don't define you. Your last impression is what people will remember, and you have the power to make that impression one of the best. You have the power to make that impression one of growth, redemption, and impact. So, as you go about your day, I want you to think about the impressions you're leaving. Think about the legacy you are building, and you need to remember this as you are thinking about them all. It is never too late to finish strong. First impression matters, but last impressions matters more. First impression is good, but last impression is great. Thank you for tuning in every single day.